The McLaughlins are a perfectly ordinary Liverpool family. Ordinary, that is, except for one thing. Jim and May McLaughlin, Mum and Dad, are completely deaf. They've never heard their two children play, or laugh, or cry. Though Matthew and Samantha hear and speak normally, they have to use sign language to communicate with their parents. In this film, Jim and May's words are spoken for us by interpreters. They tell the extraordinary story of a perfectly ordinary family.
Samantha was about 7 years old and she was going to school. And when she came home from school, I looked at her and she didn't look very happy at all. And I said, "What's the matter with you?" And she said, "Oh, nothing, nothing, I'm all right." But I knew something was the matter and she kept saying, "Oh, nothing, nothing." So I just left her. And the next day I went to the school to pick her up from school and I waited there. And when my daughter came out, I saw her head drop down and all the children were looking at me and saying, "There's Samantha's mother, she's deaf." I noticed all the children looking at me. But I was very cool. And when my daughter came, I said, "Are you all right, Samantha?" And she said, she kept her head down. She didn't want me coming. "Come on." And off we walked. And I said, "Take no notice of them." But she was obviously upset.
Because she's different from everyone else. And if she's talking to me, they're all, "What's happening here?" And they're looking. And they're staring. And then, they ask questions, and which I don't like to answer. They ask, "How did they do this and how did they do that? I mean, can she drive?" They think with them deaf they can't drive. I say, "Oh yes, you can drive." "Is your house rented?" I said, "Why?" I said, "Well, I would have thought they wouldn't be able to buy a house. They wouldn't know how to go through to solicitors and do the normal routine." To me, she seems like, like everyone else, the same. Only that she's deaf and she can't hear and she can't use the phone. But to other people, she's someone completely different. Someone who can't do anything at all.
Our children, you see, they've been born into a deaf world as well. And when they had their first words with us, they'd be signing, and we'd be signing. Things like, "Good boy, do you want to sleep?" and so on. Of course, I sent them both to a nursery school, don't forget, so that their voices would be clear and they'd learn more language. It's really worth it for the hearing children. It's wonderful for them at their age.
We've always tried to look after our two children's needs. I bought Matthew a computer bike. It's got lots of gadgets, and it's got a radio. He loves it. I was keen on cycle racing when I left school. I was picked to enter the British Cycling Championships. I was junior cycling champion, and I won 2 cups. Matthew's very competitive. He loves cycling too. Maybe he takes after me. We'll see.
My house is too quiet. Every time I come home, they switch the radio off and things like that, and it's too quiet for them. I often switch the television on and leave it on all the time so the children can hear it, otherwise they're going to get bored. I can understand how they feel, because I'm used to a quiet life. But the children need to hear far more, and that's why I never stop them. I like them to go out to enjoy themselves.
Come on, down again. Right, play. Look for someone in a big space, not the person next to you.
When they're both at school, I feel really happy for them. To know that my two children can hear and talk, and they're at school and they're happy.
Although I was very good at drawing and painting when I left the deaf school, I couldn't get a job. But my uncle brought me here to the Blue Coat Centre to see the boss, and he said to him, he's good at drawing, and he's done a bit of wood carving. The boss gave me a week's trial, I did very well indeed, and I became a permanent worker for him. I was 16 when I started here. I'm 49 now. There's just the three of us here. The deaf man, he's called Adrian. He's a carpenter, and he restores antiques. The other one, Neville, he's a hearing man. He works as a clockmaker. He helps us a lot with all the phone calls. I'm happy here. There's a lovely atmosphere and people are friends with me.
Oh, good morning, dear. It's Mr. Spencer at the Blue Coat Chambers. I'm ringing on behalf of Jim McLaughlin, the sculptor at Studio 49. He ordered some Nabrasina stone from you.
I often have to ask him to phone out for me.
Weeks ago.
And communication
Can
can
you tell me
be a
what the
bit
current state of
difficult.
the parties is?
I've got to write the message down first, of course. But Neville's a very nice man, and he's got used to doing it for us now. My daughter, Samantha, she does business calls for me too. But the problem is that I have to explain to her what I wanted to say, and sometimes she doesn't understand the business technicalities, and I get a bit frustrated. She probably started doing phone calls for my wife and me when she was about 7 or 8. Just simple ones, perhaps to my family. But now she helps us a lot on the phone. She's growing up now, of course, and she's a good interpreter. And she's a great help to me and May.
I ask my daughter to use the phone, yes. Sometimes I feel sorry for my daughter. I'm a bit of a nuisance asking her to phone too much, really, but she's got a lot of patience with me.
They think I'm cheeky, you know. They say, why don't you get your mum on the phone? I say, well, she can't. And, you know, they go around and say she's a cheeky, you know, she's only 15 and she's cheeky. She's really cheeky, you know. But it's not me who's being cheeky. It's what I've got to say, what my mum wants me to say, you know. And, you know, a lot of people in the streets have said, you know, oh, isn't she cheeky? But it's because my mum can't say it to them. I've got to say it, so I'm just like an interpreter. But they don't see it as that.
Use your hand to indicate. Well, space, Vivian. Good girl, Samantha.
I do really often feel sorry for the
Come on,
two
be
kids.
moving quickly into a space. Hard luck, Lisa. A brown throw in.
And
Yours
that's
again,
why I do
Kathleen.
like them to go out and make friends, to enjoy life, to join youth clubs, and to stay at friends' houses because of all the noise and conversation and language that's going on there.
Come on. Mark. Yes, good girl.
My mum's always tried to push me and make me come forward and straight and speak up for myself and don't let anyone get you down. But I think I've gradually got better. You know, she's, at first I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was very quiet and very shy, but she's pushed me, and I have, you know, the real me has come out.
But the second son, I'm worried about him. Will he be the same as Samantha? What am I going to do? I've got to keep cool. Perhaps not use sign language at first in front of the other children. But, you know, the mothers look very happy. Why am I any different, you know, when he comes out?
When my wife went to the school to pick Matthew up, Matthew didn't want his mum to sign, with the children watching her. He didn't want her signing to him. And he kept tapping her to put her hands away and saying, after, after. And she says, oh, well, all right. I used to get angry when I was playing with hearing children because they used to tease me, and I really used to lose my temper. I got into fights, and I don't like people teasing me. I couldn't help it, you know. This is how deaf children feel.
This deaf and blind bloke, Alfred, mum visits him. He knows who you are by touch and feel. You know, you don't have to say who you are. I mean, you come in and you feel your face and your hair. And you always recognise mum. You know, he does that and she just says it's May and you went to thought so. There's a special sign for the blind, you know, with the hand. She can do it very good, you know, it's sort of... It's something that, yeah, I can't do it. He's been a carpenter all his life, Jonah. He's got a little workshop, you know, and even though he turned blind, he still carries on, you know, he makes tables and baskets and chairs. Sometimes she wishes she could hear, you know, but I think it's there. Nothing she can do about it. She just gets on with life, you know. And I don't think she doesn't know what you see. She thinks she isn't missing anything. You say, you know, I listen to the radio or the television. You know, she's never heard it, so she doesn't know what she's missing. So she's quite happy as she is. She just wants to get on with life, do what she wants to do. And she always asks me, how can you hear the birds? And I say, well, it's so sweet. And she's going, what? So I just said, you just cannot describe it. I mean, if you could describe it, I don't know how to, you know. It's so sweet, and, you know, and there's...
I can't imagine hearing at all. When I'm alone, perhaps watching television, and there's classical music on, I get a feeling from watching it. I feel that it must be beautiful. It's how I feel. It must be beautiful.